Sometimes you get to work on some odd things as a diesel mechanic. It's nice and snowy outside, but my buddy has a car, well, an SUV, that needs worked on, and he says, well, let's do a little horse trading for your HVAC work that needs to be done at your house. So here we go. We're gonna look this thing over. He said another shop told him that his brakes were down to nothing basically, and that his ball joints needed to be replaced. So we're gonna see what it looks like and give him the good or the bad news. You can see the ball joint. There's some movement there. Not a lot, but some for sure. And that one seems just fine. All right, get the tire off next and look at the brakes. All right, wheels off. We're gonna take a look at these brake pads. So there, you can see that we've got, probably 40-50% on the outer. If we move the camera over to look on the inside, it's a little thin on the inside, maybe 30%, not the 10% he was told. I guess we'll look at the backs next. Looking at the brakes on this side, kind of hard to tell a little bit, but maybe at this angle you guys will be able to see. So it looks like on the inside of that, or on the outside of that brake pad, that's pretty darn thin. I'd put that at 10% probably. The inside pad has got a lot left. So they were probably telling him the truth. They just weren't telling him which ones. So the rears are pretty thin, but they're not so bad they can't be used, but it would be better to replace. Now the other interesting thing that I've found on this is, with a car with about 156,000 miles, I think it is, these have got electronically active struts. You can see with that little module there on the strut. The struts themselves look like they're a little bit worn. Yeah, that light's not really working with me very good. So they probably do need to be replaced. Those are going to be really expensive. The other thing that's contributing to that is we've got these tires. You can't maybe tell on the camera, but they've got some pattern there that is inside wear, and that's on the rear. And then on the front, we've also got kind of a funky pattern here that maybe we can catch at this angle, and you see that the inside here is feathering. The feathering is very typical of needing struts. So even though they technically shouldn't need it, I'm gonna guess that new struts would probably cause this thing to ride a lot better and give it better handling, and then keep the tires from being worn out quite as quickly on the insides like they are. So I'll call him up, see what he wants to do. Okay, I'm back on this expedition, and now that I've got the passenger side apart, I'm seeing a little bit more of what they were telling him at the other shop. So you can see the caliper pistons pushed out quite a ways, and as we get the camera angle in there and the light angle in there a little better, you see that's pretty thin between the brake pad backing and the pad itself before it touches the rotor. A little hard to tell in here. Kind of not so bad on this side. You've got a groove still into the friction material, so there's 40% left on that easily. But on the inside, that's pretty darn thin. So if I was in a shop, I'd say, yeah, let's change them out. But this customer of mine, this friend of mine, he was talking about trading this dude out anyway. And we started looking at these shocks. It's our struts, more so on this back side. We've got some leakage there. You can see the wetness on that, and that's coming from the material inside the shock assembly in that strut. So he said, just inspect it. If it looks like it's good to take his trip and his family on, why then he'll take his family on the trip and they'll probably trade this thing in. So while it still holds a little bit of value, still have a little bit of wear patterns on these tires. This was the front, and so we have some feathering right there. So same deal, that comes from worn struts that are not totally out yet. And then same on this one, I've already moved the front to the back and the back to the front, just so we can look it over and maybe try to even out the tire wear a little bit. So rotate these tires, let them get on that trip. So at least I know it's not going to leave them stranded based on the things that I've looked at on it. It's got a little bit of a leak on the output shaft seal on the transfer case up underneath the vehicle, but not enough to be actually leaking, just to show some wetness. So I'd say he's good, and it's a good time to trade that in while it still has some value.